before entering into Angular, first we should know the TypeScript. So that's why yesterday we have started the TypeScript. Just we have understood what is TypeScript and why we have to go for the TypeScript. And generally speaking, in case if you have any knowledge on any other programming language, particularly core Java, TypeScript is very easy to understand because TypeScript is basic syntaxes are very similar to core Java. Because here also we have class name, and also we have some objects, okay, variables, methods, okay, inheritance. So most of the topics are same in between the core Java and TypeScript. Okay, some topics also may be differ, of course. So coming to the today's lesson, what I want to provide mainly, I would like to provide some of the remaining topics of the TypeScript. And after finishing the TypeScript today itself, we are going to start the basics of Angular 2. Angular 2, 4, 5, 6. In TypeScript, particularly today, I want to cover three topics, that is interfaces, enumerations, and modules. First, let's go with the interfaces. Today's first topic is interfaces. So what is interface? Interface is a model of class that defines set of methods, set of properties and methods that are to be created inside the class. See, fundamentally, a class contains a set of properties and methods. What properties and methods should be contained inside the class? That list we have to mention in the interface. Just like, for example, we take some codes. For example, let's take the Angular codes. So what topics we are going to cover in the Angular codes, that we have to provide in the codes content, right? In the codes content, just we have to provide the list of topics that are going to be covered in the actual codes. Similar to that, suppose there is a class name. Inside the class name, we can define some properties and methods. What properties and methods we are going to write in this class, that list we have to tell before itself, that is called interface. So first we have to create an interface, space interface name. In this interface, we have to define the properties and methods. See, in this particular class, we are going to define these many properties, these many methods. That list we have to provide here itself. So what properties methods listed in the interface, same properties methods should be mentioned in the class. I'm going to say these properties and methods must be compulsory written in the interface, in the class. But the class may contain some additional properties and methods optionally. Extra properties and extra methods can be there in the class. For example, the code's content provides some 100 topics to cover. So I will compulsory provide all the 100 topics, right? Plus additionally, depending on the requirement or situation, I may explain some extra topics which are even not there in the code's content, right? So similar to that, optionally, the class may provide some additional properties or methods which are not there in the interface. So what is the actual use or purpose of the interface? For example, say we have a predefined interface plus user defined class. This is one type of usage in real time. One of the real time uses of interfaces is predefined interface will be there plus user defined class will be there. For example, the Angular framework is expecting some set of properties and methods from you. You have to provide the list of properties and methods. The properties and methods must be implemented by the developer. That should be called by the Angular framework internally. For example, there is a button, okay? When the user clicks on the button, some method is going to be executing. That method you have to create. But the method is called by whom? The predefined library itself. Method code is user defined, method name is user defined, but the method should be called by the predefined library or predefined code. So in such cases, we have to use predefined interface plus user-defined class. Interface predefined. In interface, we have to declare a method. Okay, the method name should be this one. Argument should be this one. And also return type should be this one. We have to declare the interface. And the same method must be implemented in the class. Implementation means defining the class. So interface is a predefined, class is user defined. That is one scenario. Other real-time scenario is user-defined interface by developer 1 plus user-defined class by developer 2. For example, there are two developers, developer 1 and developer 2. Developer 1 wants to let developer 2 create his own class with specific properties and specific methods. What properties and methods he is expecting, he knows. So the developer 1 creates an interface. In that interface, he is writing the list of properties and methods that he is expecting, and that interface is given to developer 2. In this case, the developer 2 is just following the predefined interface. What methods and properties expected by the developer 1, all those properties and methods fulfilled by the developer 2. So the role of the developer 1 here is by creating an interface and provide the list of properties and methods inside the interface. Developer 2 task is just following the existing interface that is created by developer 1. So in that way, the coordination can be happened between one developer to another developer. So this is the second real-time scenario. So two possible scenarios I'm saying. One is interface predefined. Just an individual developer is following the predefined interface. Second is developer 1 is creating interface and developer 2 is just following the interface that is provided by developer 1. So these two are the real-time scenarios that where we have to use interfaces practically in the real-life development. Now let us take an example of this interface. So the code window is Visual Studio Code. I think most of you already may know about, at least heard about this Visual Studio Code. See, we can practice HTML, CSS, JavaScript, even Angular, React, different other languages too in the Visual Studio Code window. And so already we have installed Visual Studio Code, and there is some process is there. How to install TypeScript, there is some process. So for the newcomers, I'm just saying that already yesterday we have done some process to install TypeScript. So that process you have to go through once, only one time. Once you have installed the TypeScript, every day we can just practice the TypeScript program directly. No need of installing TypeScript every day. Only one time you have to install on your machine. That process yesterday I have covered. Anyway, today I'm going to start the actual interface program. So that is very easy for us. Just listen. Go to File menu, New File, and we have to save it. Generally, while creating HTML file, what you have to give .html as a file extension. But here, instead of .html, we have to provide a .ts. Interface is .ts. File extension is .ts. First location, C:, TypeScript. All the HTML programs you will place in the C:, HTML folder, right? All the CSS programs you will place in the C:, CSS folder, right? Just like that. We have to place all the TypeScript files in the C:, TypeScript folder. File name can be anything. For example, I'm giving interfaces.ts. File name can be anything. Extension must be .ts. Okay, so now we can see interfaces.ts, right? Now in this, I want to just provide interface space interface name. We can give any interface name. For example, I'm giving iStudent. I for interface. Okay. iStudent says that it is an interface for which one student. It is an interface which describes the properties and methods that you are going to place inside the student class. So generally speaking, in the student, what are the details you would like to have? Student details, student roll number, student name, and corresponding the section, for example. Okay. So we have to create, let's say, properties. Student roll number. It is of which data type? Number data type. See, notice carefully here. First, the keyword says that we are going to create an interface. Next, this is the actual name of the interface, that is iStudent. Here I stands for interface, and this is the body of the interface. Inside this we can write any number of properties and methods, but only declaration, no coding, only declaration. Properties you can declare by writing like property name followed by data type. So property means the details. Okay. So generally speaking, object contains properties, methods. Properties will store the details. Methods will contain the operations, work. Okay, so roll number is just an example of property. It is of which data type? Number data type. And student name is of which data type? String data type. And codes is of which data type? String data type. That's all. So these are the properties. But remember, as of now, an object is not created. And actually, object even cannot be created in the interface based on the interface. If you create object only, actual data will be stored. We can store the actual data in the object, but we cannot create object based on the interface directly. Here interface is just telling that, okay, these are the properties that you're going to store. But based on the interface, we have to create a class, and based on the class, we have to create object. 3 points are there. First, step number 1. First, we have to create an interface. Just in the interface level, just we are telling the concept. Okay, actual concept. Just okay, in the interface, we are going to have roll number, student name, codes. Just a concept we are explained. Based on the interface, we have to create a class. Class must contain all the properties of the interface. And based on the class, we have to create object. 3 steps are there. In the object only, actual data will be stored, not in the class or interface. Interface act as a model for the class. Class act as a model for the objects. Both class and interface are models, but the difference is interface is a model of class. Class is a model of objects. Based on one interface, we can create any number of classes. Based on one class, we can create any number of objects. So here's class student. Student is the name of the class. So this class is developed based on which model, which interface? iStudent interface. How do we specify that point? By adding the keyword like implements. The implements keyword says that so the implements keyword says that specifies that the class is being developed based on the interface. In other words, it says that the class implements the interface. So which is implementing which one? The class implements the interface. So the class implements which one? iStudent. So now automatically we are getting error in the class. The reason, what are the properties and methods that are declared in the interface must be implemented in the class, but we are not declaring them in the class. That's why we are getting error. Even we can add methods also in the interface. For example, we have a method called get roll number. Here we are trying to return the roll number value. Now here, what is the data type of this roll number? Roll number data type is number. So we have to give colon number. Here there are two syntaxes to create the methods. Okay, sorry. Method only declaration should be done in the interface, not coding. Just we have to define like this number. That's all. Okay, that's all. So even we cannot define the method body here in the interface. Just we have to define the method name, corresponding arguments, and the return value, return data type. So this actual coding must be done in the class. Similarly, get student name. What is the data type of this string? Codes. What data type of this string? Get codes. So these properties and methods must be implemented in the class. So same ditto, copy paste. Okay, copy paste. Properties have no change, but for the methods we have to give actual function body like this. And there are two ways to create methods. One is a simple syntax like this. Okay, the second syntax is we have to give equal to, then we have to give the arguments in the brackets, then we have to give equal to greater than, and return type not required. Just a minute. Okay, so this syntax we have to follow. Either of these syntaxes. Syntax number one for you. Just if you want to go with the simple syntax, just we have to provide like this. Okay, this is one option for you. Second option is this one. Equal to. First we have to give method name equal to, and this part is actually representing the method. In this method, just first we have to provide the arguments in the brackets, colon, then we have to provide the return data type. What type of value you want written, the return data type can be mentioned. And also we can give arrow operator. What is arrow operator? We cannot type it in single keyword in the keyboard. Just we have to write equal to followed by greater than. Equal to followed by greater than. So that's all. Similarly, we can write the remaining also. String data type, get codes, okay. Now we have to return the actual value, that is this dot row number, this dot student name, okay, this dot codes. And also we have to initialize the values, right? In order to initialize, I'm trying to add the constructor. The constructor name must be constructor itself. For any class, the name is fixed. The purpose of constructor is receiving some inputs and assigning those input values into the respective properties. For example, you are trying to create an object called book. The book name, author name, and a number of pages, these are the three values compulsory every book should contain. Without book name, without author name, without number of pages, the book object cannot be created. Assume that. So there should be a function that takes a responsibility of initializing these details, right? Such a function is constructor. So constructor is a function that is initializing the essential properties of the object when the new object is created. There may be some additional properties that may be not required. So those properties may not be initialized by the constructor. So whichever the values are mandatory, compulsory, useful for us, the default values must be initialized by the constructor. Constructor is a special function that executes automatically every time when we create an object. You're making an object, the constructor will be called. Again, if you make another object, again the constructor will be called, and so on. 100 objects created means each time for every object the constructor will be called. So in the constructor we are trying to receive three values. Roll number is of which type? Number data type. Student name is of which type? String data type. Course is of which data type? String data type. We have received three values. These three values should be respectively assigned into respective properties. But here the confusing point is the argument name plus property name is same. See, what is the property name? Roll number. What is the argument name? Roll number. That is the reason of confusion. Yes, in real time it is recommended to give the same name for both properties and properties. For properties and arguments, recommended to give the same name exactly how we have done. But we can differentiate them with the help of this keyword. This keyword basically represents current object. Current object means, see, assume we are creating the first object, then the constructor is being called. At that time, this means first object. Later, you are making the second object. At that time also again you are calling the constructor. At that time, this means second object. See, for example, presently as of now you are inside the Hyderabad. So you said that this city. This city means what? Which one? Hyderabad. After 2 days you go to some Bangalore. Next you said this city. This city means what? Bangalore. So depending on the situation, the actual city is being vary, right? This city, the word is same. The word pronunciation, spelling may be same, but meaning is different depending on the situation. Similarly, if the first object is being created, this means first object. If the second object is being created right now, then the constructor is called. This means second object. If 100th object is being created at the time that this keyword is called, means this means the 100th object. Overall, always and always one point is very clear. This means current object. By using this keyword, we can differentiate between the property and the argument name. Simple. You should write like this dot roll number is equal to the roll number. Here, just roll number, which is the right hand side, is represented as just an argument. But this dot roll number is represented the actual property which is being stored inside the object. Properties will be stored in the object. Argument variables just will be temporarily maintained and will be automatically erased from memory. Till end of the program, which are permanent objects are permanent till end of the program. Arguments are just being called and automatically being erased from memory. Okay, arguments are temporary. The properties are permanent. Okay, so we have to copy the data from arguments to property. That is roll number to this dot roll number. Same way remaining. So the responsibility is that while creating an object for the student class, you must pass three parameters compulsory, that is roll number, student name, codes. For example, roll number is 1, student name is ABC, codes is XYZ. Those values are being represented as the variable names here. Those values are being copied into respective properties of the current working object. Overall, the properties will be stored in the object. The properties contain the actual data. Like this, we can create any number of properties, and every time we can initialize with respect to arguments. Suppose we are making a new object, properties will be stored, and we can initialize the properties. Again, making a new object, again properties are stored in the object, we can initialize them. Like this, we can repeat the same process many times. We can make any number of objects. And if you want to read the data, you want to read the roll number, you want to read the student name, you want to read the marks or codes, any details, if you want to read, we are going to call the respective method. So if you want to see the roll number, you will call the get roll number. It will return the current value of the roll number. I mean, already we have initialized, right? Suppose roll number 1, that will be returned here. Same way, if we say return get student name, the student name value is being written here. The same way get codes. Okay. Yeah, return statement is missing. Okay, we have successfully created the interface above. Interface provide the list of properties and methods that you're going to have in the class. See, interface will not contain the actual coding. We cannot create object based on interface. Interface just tells the list of properties and methods that you're going to have in the class. What properties and methods you're proposing in the class, that list is given by the interface. Actual class contain the actual code. So the same properties should be repeated here, copy paste, and these methods should be mentioned, created here with actual body, actual code. And actually these methods are simple, but in real time what happens is that each method will contain its own hundreds of lines of code. So finally we have to create object. We cannot create object for the interface directly like this. So somebody is trying to create object for the interface. He's saying new I student. It's not allowed. We have to create object based on the class, and we have to pass the values. Roll number 101, student name is Scott, and codes is some Java codes. Okay. So this statement will create an object. First, the new keyword says that we are going to create a new object. First, we are going to create an object. Object is ready. Inside this object, we have mentioned the class name, right? What is the class name? Student. It will go to student class. It will read all these properties. So it will just allocate the memory for roll number and the student name and codes. Just the properties are declared. The default values of the properties is undefined. Each property is undefined. Okay. Now automatically the constructor is being definitely executes. Okay, after property memory allocation, definitely constructor will execute. That's why we have passed the values already. 101 will go to roll number. Scott will go to student name. Java will go to codes. Then these values are being assigned into this dot roll number, this dot student name, and this dot codes respectively. Same parameter values only being assigned into this dot roll number, this dot student name, this dot codes. Here the point is this means what? The current object, which object you are making now, that one. So as you have assigned the value into this dot roll number, this undefined will be overwritten with the 101. Initially, when the object is created, when the object is born, it's undefined only. But as the constructor execute and constructor is assigning the value into the respective property, so the undefined is overwritten with 101. Similarly, remaining. Here undefined is replaced with the Scott. Codes is replaced with Java. That's all. Now we can see roll number is 101, student name is Scott, and codes is Java. You can see. But all this process happens in memory. In the output, nothing is being printed. If you want to get the actual roll number, we have to call the function called get roll number, this one. And what this method is trying to do, it is just reading the data from student roll number. I mean, this 101 will be returned. Then we can print it through console.log. That is a process. So the main points to remember is the new keyword creates an object, then automatically constructor will execute. We are passing arguments to the constructor, and there the constructor values are being initialized into respective properties. In that way, object is being initializing. So just we can see the object, and in order to compile and execute this program, what we have to do is that go to command prompt window, cd that particular command, c colon typescript. Okay, now we have to give the command tsc file name. Java C command, anybody know? Java C, just like that. tsc command, tsc file name, interfaces.ts. So this command will compile the interface program. Just compilation means it will generate the JS file, and we can execute the JS file by giving the command of node the file name interfaces.js. Remember, while executing with the node command, we have to go .js because .ts will not execute directly. Now we can see an object is created with several properties and methods you can notice on the screen. Get roll number, get student name, get codes are the functions, nothing but methods. Remaining are properties with values. If you want to read the actual roll number, actual student name codes, we have to call the respective methods. Before that, we have to store the reference of this object inside a variable, for example s1. Then we can call the get roll number and others. Get student name and get codes. Again, we have to compile. After every modification, we have to compulsory compile. Then we have to execute. Now we can see the get student name. All the values are printed. Okay, this is how to work with the interfaces. Enumeration enumeration specifies what list of values allowed to be assigned in a variable. So listen, suppose we have declared a variable called some s is the name of the variable, string is the data type, and we can assign any type of value, right? I'm just typing blah blah blah, anything. So if the data type is string, we can give anything in the double quotes. Okay. Now instead of string, I want to specify, okay, these many values only allowed. There is a specific list exactly, okay, any one of them only allowed. For example, codes is name of the variable, codes. So we are allowing a specific list of courses, other courses not allowed for us. Only the user must assign any one of these courses only. Then what we have to do, we have to create an interface, in enumeration. In the enumeration, we have to specify the list of values that you want to allow. What courses you have, that courses list we have to provide. Then we have to give the enumeration variable name here. Then in this particular codes variable, only the specific set of values only allowed. Simple, if you give string, anything is allowed that you may don't expect. If you give enumeration, only specific list of values only allowed, other values are not allowed. So you're preventing entry of wrong values by using enumeration. Okay, for example, just I'm showing a simple program. Save this file, enumerations.ts. We have to save the file, but while giving the file name, we have to give the file extension .ts compulsory. and where we have to save it in C:\typescript folder. Okay. Okay, make sure we have selected the C:\typescript and make sure we have given the file name the properly, that is enumerations.ts. Anyway, so now suppose we have a class called student name, etc., will be there, but the point is course name. If the course name is string, what's the problem? Okay, so user is assigning some any type of value. So I'm just creating an object, storing the reference of the object into the variable. Notice the problem, student name can be anything really, that's okay, no problem. Student name has no problem. The issue with the course name. Course name also, as it is string, anything, any blah 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 also just accepted technically. Technically that course name is valid. Okay, this is valid technically because we have given string data type. String means collection of characters. This is collection of characters, right? What characters is it? Is it really meaningful, really in the real world? That doesn't be matter for the compiler perspective. Okay, we have given string as a data type. Is it collection of characters or not? That's only checking by the compiler. Okay, so that's why if you compile the program, okay, the CD is C:\typescript. It is optional. Okay, TSC enumerations.ts to execute node enumerations.js. Now you can see the value, right? So it's valid. Technically it is valid, but is it really make sense? Is it like a course? No. We have a specific list of values to allow, right? So we have to create an interface enumeration enum courses list. So in our institute, what are the list of courses we are allowing? Only that list of courses we have to provide here. For example, we have a Java course, Angular course, and some Node.js course. Okay, so 3 courses only allowed. Other courses not allowed. You are giving like this, not allowed. So how do we specify this point? In order to connect between this variable and this enumeration, we have to give this enumeration as a data type. Instead of string or number, we have to give enumeration as a data type. Notice. Then which means that user now cannot assign the string value. It is showing error. Notice now that value we have typed some blah blah blah, right? Okay, that value is not allowed because it is in double quotes. That means it's a string. Now the data type is not string. So the valid value is courses list dot Java, or in place of Java we can use any one of the above. I mean Angular or Node.js also we can use any one of these list. So but 100% sure that other names are not allowed here. That is the protection that you are expecting. See, if it is a string, everything allowed, but you are restricting the user to assign a particular list of values only. So then we have to go for the enumeration. And while printing, notice the difference. While printing, it is printing like 0. That's a surprising point here. 0 indicates Java, 1 indicates Angular, 2 indicates Node.js. In the sequence, based on starting from 0, it will just assume a number for every value. For the first value, I mean Java 0, next value 1, next value 2, and so on. If you have 100 courses, automatically it will assume them as a 0 to 99. For example, you have given Angular, compile and run, tsc command to compile, tsc filename.ts, node filename.js. Remember the difference, file extension, okay? While compilation.ts, while execution.js. Now it is showing 1 because Angular means 1 here. You notice Java 0, Angular 1. In case if you want to get the actual course name, we have to give courses list of that particular index. Now it will print the actual course name. First we have to compile and then execute. Okay, now we can see the Angular. The course name is printed, actual course name. So if you print s.course, we are getting the number only, but courses list of s.course means we are getting actual name. Okay, this is all about enumeration. Okay, next new topic, modules. The last topic today, modules. I think today we don't have time, and tomorrow we'll start actual Angular. And Saturday, Sunday also we will have class, remember. Sunday also we will have class. So if you compile, the JS file will be updated actually. After compilation, you have to follow the same like this. Compile, then execute, you will see the latest output. Okay. Now listen. So modules, the new topic today, modules. The last topic for today, and the last topic for TypeScript also modules. Okay. So tomorrow we are going to start actual Angular. Angular basics will be started. I mean, what is Angular? What are the goals of Angular? Some basics I will explain in the further lesson tomorrow. So today's topic is modules. What is module? Listen. Module is a file. That's all simple. What file? TypeScript file. Okay. Here module is a file. For example, in the previous examples, we have just created several TS files, right? Each individual TS file is a module. Yes, simple, a TS file with some code, maybe classes, interfaces, something, some code is there. So a file with a .ts extension, that means a TypeScript file is nothing but module. So a module is a TypeScript file which can share one or more properties, one or more classes, or other members to other modules. Listen, just like for example, can you give me any information about person? Okay, a person is a living human being. Okay, person definition I'm trying to provide. Okay, a person is a living human being that can share his thoughts to other human beings by speaking, by giving some reactions, by in different ways. Okay, a person can give his thoughts and his reactions to the opposite person. So you can speak to me, I can speak to you. Just like that, a module is technically a file, a TypeScript file, which can share one or more classes and other members to other files, other modules. For example, there is a file, file1.ts. Also, there is a file2.ts. Each of these files may have its own file, its own classes. For example, class name, suppose class1, class2. Okay, so each of these file has its own class. Okay, just we have file1 and file2. Okay, now Now the point is in the class 1, in the class 2, I want to call the class 1. Within the class 2, I want to call the class 1. Observe carefully, here is a point. Class 1 is declared in one file. By default, it's not accessible to other file. See, not any classes, any classes, enumerations or interfaces, anything that is declared in one file is by default not accessible to other file. Even though both are present in the same location, same project or same folder, okay, the classes or any other items that are created in one file are by default not accessible to other files. In case if you want to allow it to be accessed, then the modules can give. First of all, file 1, file 2 are the modules, right? So here file 1 is a module that is sharing its class to file 2. Just like I am a person, you are a person. I am sharing my thoughts to you. So just like that, file 1, file 2 are both are modules. The file 1 module is sharing its class to file 2. How it is possible? At the left hand side of the class declaration, we have to give the keyword, extra keyword, export keyword we have to add in the left hand side. Export. The word export means we are ready to give, we are ready to expose to other people. Okay, so the file 2 can receive it. In the file 2 we can access, we can import. Import, what is the name of the class? Class 1 we can import. From which file? File 1.ts. Okay, that .ts automatically it will be taken, and to represent current working folder, I mean file 1, file 2 both are maybe in the same folder, right? To represent current working folder /. So basically assuming we have a folder, for example SQL and TypeScript. Inside the folder only we have both files. Okay, assuming like this. So to represent current working folder, that is SQL and TypeScript, we should write like /. So go to file 1, get the class 1, already we are exporting there, right? Import it. Then we are eligible to use this class 1 in the actual code. In that way, we can call one class from other class. In real-time applications, exactly same thing happens. First of all, you will create a class with some code. That class you will call in other file, in other class. Again, that class you will call in other file, in other class. Again, that class you will call in other file, so and so on, so on. The class is by default reusable. Okay, you will call one class from one file, again that class from other file, and so on. It's all about reusability. So simple. How do we exchange? How do we pass the class one from one file to other file? In the actual file from where the class 1 is created, there we have to give export keyword. Export keyword says that I'm ready to give. File 1 says that, hey, anybody, if you want to call me, you can call me, please. Okay, just call me. I'm providing the class 1. I'm ready to give the class 1 to you. Okay, now file 2 says that, yes, I want to get the class 1 from the so and so file 1. Now the class 1 is finally available to this code. This all the class members are accessible through this object. So like class is present in one file, object is being created in another file. And for this class 2 also we can give export or not. Class 2 is export, and this class 2 may be accessible by class 3 in a different file. That's what exactly the real time. Got it now? So just check it. Forget about the previous files. Now we have class 1, file 1.ts, and file 2.ts. Two files are there in the same folder. You can notice, okay, same folder. In the file 1, what I'm trying to have, first we have enumeration and also we have the class. That's all. over. And this class wants to be exported to the file too. So export. Export means ready to give. So if something is exported here, in the opposite place compulsory we should write import. See, if I'm just writing this code directly, it's not working. Compulsory in the left hand side we have to write export for both enumeration and the class. And here we must write import. Import which one? Student class from which file? Dot slash file1. Here just to file1 enough. .ts not required because file1.ts automatically it will take. And also it's a module. And also dot slash means current working folder. See, in the tooltip it is showing C:\, TypeScript file1. Okay, so because it's a by default dot slash means current working folder. And also we have to import courses list also here. If you don't import courses list, I am getting error or not. Wherever we are representing the word courses list, as per this file it is unknown. You have not declared courses list in this file, right? That's why it is showing error. So by default, the system will check only within the same file. If it is not found in the same file, definitely error will be shown. If you are getting it from other file, compulsory we have to export there. Okay, and import it here. Compulsory exported members only we can import. Otherwise we cannot import. Import courses list from which file? From file1. That's all. Now this code is compilable. I'm just compiling tsc file1.ts. Observe carefully. Observe. Okay. tsc file1.ts. Next tsc file2.ts. First file1 should be compiled, then file2. Then it is enough to execute file2 only. Node file2.js enough. No need of giving node file1.js because in the file1.js now output will come. Even this classes interface also we are calling in the file2, right? Okay, so from the file1 there is no direct output. That's why we need not give node file1.js. Okay, if you give also not a problem, not a wrong. Okay, so just actual output we are getting from file2, that's enough. Okay, that's all about modules. So modules are all about how to share the classes, interfaces or enumerations from one file to other file. Why? Because in real time, is it recommended to write all the code in a single file? Big project is there, lots of screens are there, large project is there. Okay, do you recommend like everything, all the code in a single file? No, never. Okay, so but the best policy, each class in separate file. So the class is present in one file. You want to create its object in another file. Definitely the class of one file to be shared to other file, right? So there itself, obviously the modules concept comes into picture. We have to give export keyword for the class and we have to import it in somewhere else. And once it is exported, we can import it any number of times. And moreover, instead of writing the import statement 2 times, we can also keep comma because both are coming from same file. In case of student class coming from one file, courses list from other file, then we should write separately only, no shortcut. Same file means we can comment them like this. Now also we will get same output. Okay, that's all about modules. And that's all about TypeScript. These are the essential topics that are required in the TypeScript. So the basics like variables, data types, and classes, objects, methods, constructors, and interfaces, enumerations, inheritance. These are the topics that are covered and that are required to understand Angular. Tomorrow we will start actual Angular classes.